trying now.
Okay. Hello, this is a new episode from the Transatlantic Conversation with David Rorix and me. And normally we talk on the first Saturday in the month, but this time that was May the 1st, and now we're in the middle of the month. So it's good for you because the next episode is just then in 2 weeks. And so
Change the schedule, right? And we could always do a mid-month thing, but we could go back to
mid-month
the
thing.
beginning. Either
We
way.
could do an everyday thing, and but then I don't know if we've got enough subjects to talk about. But
We have a
okay,
little more before we talk about it every day, probably.
I just improved a little bit my TV studio. Now I've got a green screen, and this wall is not real. This wall is not real.
It looks very real, though. Very, very real brick wall.
But we get a little bit more professional, so then perhaps we have got a little bit more viewer. That is the hidden agenda behind
Oh,
this.
totally. With the brick wall and that haircut, we're definitely going to get more viewers.
So, David, then we start. How is it going in the US?
I mean, it's just, I don't know where to start, It's just, there's a lot happening in the world right now in the U.S. and in the U.S.'s client countries, shall we say? Wars and more wars, and I mean, the world continues as I mean, the Biden administration is revealing that that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party still have the same kind of imperialist foreign policy interests that they have had for a very long time, and so it's there's what's going on in Palestine. Israel is really unprecedented in terms of how much conflict there is on the streets all over the place, and along with the Israel sort of doing home demolitions like of towers from the sky, bombing them like they just did with the media building this morning. Al Jazeera and 8 Associated Press, they had their 15-story building destroyed by a missile launched from a plane, and these are American missiles and American planes and American money and American political cover, and this is what's going on. And then you got huge protests in many different European countries and other parts of the world, but in the United States, very little opposition going on. I think that the level of hopelessness is it's just tremendous. People just feel like, okay, this kind of stuff is never going to stop. So I don't know. Oh, but
So,
my audio's low. Somebody else is telling me my audio's low. It's not just you. I don't know what's going
oh,
on with that.
what's going with your microphone?
Why?
Oh, you have to be near to the microphone, I think. Nearer.
Normally, I don't need to be so near, but I'm hoping this
But
is
with
the
the
mic picking up my voice. I don't know.
with these voice microphones, I think I have always this is for singing, and yours also for singing, but yours is a dynamic mic and mine is condenser mic, and I always have to be very close to the mic.
I thought this was a condenser mic too,
Yeah,
but I don't know. But let's see. I'm
I
just
think you
speaking
yours got
closer
the
to it. Let's see.
the SM7. I think it's but other way. I
This
think
this
yeah,
thing. This is not an SM58 or anything. This is
the
a USB
SM7.
mic. No.
As it's USB mic. Okay,
Yeah.
then
Yeah. It's a
I
Swedish Electronics X1.
okay, then I've been on the wrong way. So I think in Palestine, Israel, it's for me it's a very hard topic because I think there is really something wrong on both sides. It's my opinion.
It's a very fraught issue there in Germany.
It's
like
it's very hard, but I think they in the long term they have to find a way of negotiations to live there together peaceful. So I think it's a very hard thing, and I I have no real opinion because I think I'm not there, and it's hard. But I think all the people that if they do more bombing on both sides, it's very hard. And I think
Well,
uh,
one side has an air force, so it wouldn't be fair to call the other. The Palestinians aren't bombing anyone; they're launching very small missiles that they made. But the one side has tanks, one side has an air force.
yes,
But yeah, it's
but I think you have also people on the Palestinian side that I would not think they're really nice guys. So I think they're really a crew people on both sides, and there are a lot of Palestinians and a lot of Jewish people think that really want peace. You know,
that's for sure. A lot of
so
people want peace.
and yeah, but I think it's really a topic where you couldn't be engaged, you couldn't really do something because there, if there is something wrong here and near my neighborhood, or you could do something, but you couldn't really do something, and you're not there. You know what I mean? So it's
Well, I mean, it's a client state with that only is able to do these things with all this U.S. support. So, I mean, they wouldn't. I don't think there'd be a state there necessarily without all this U.S. and British support. But I don't know. It's. I mean, I think the fact that this is a topic that there's so much disagreement on, it tells, I think, a lot of people a lot of things about this, because I mean, why is this why does this never get resolved? I mean, one reason is because there's not, there's a lot of disagreement in societies in Western countries about, what the situation is. I mean, I just, just backing up and looking at this discussion. I mean, these are, two anarchists, one one from, you know, New York and one from Germany, and we don't look at this the same way, and that
yeah.
tells you something. That tells, I think that can tell a lot of people something. This is an issue that I rarely even sing about when I'm touring in Germany, because of the how fraught it is. I've had gigs canceled. I've had the anti-Deutsch threaten my gigs, threaten to attack the gigs and threaten to attack the venues and break windows, and that happens regularly in Germany. Just because I'm singing about songs that are critical of Israel. So it's a we all know it's a very fraught issue, but it's
Yeah,
certainly
it's
what's going on. I
I
mean,
think
it's
you're right concerning the anti-Deutschen. I don't like them. I am okay. I think if you're criticizing Israel's policy, policy,
mm,
I think that's all right because it's a state like any other state. As long as it is not anti-Semite, it's all right. So and I know you're not an anti-Semite, so it's all right for me. The Anti-Deutsche, they think everything what Germany does is bad, and what the others does is good. So and they are really dogmatic. So I don't like these quarrels in Germany's left. The anti-capitalists, the anti-imps, and the anti-Deutsch, and boom, boom, boom. That's the problem in the left here in Germany.
it's a
So
circular firing squad. Would you
fire
say
the,
that's the
they
problem?
hmm?
The left is always firing at each other. The left
At
is
each
always
other.
disagreeing.
They so the
Same
right
over
is
here.
the right in Germany is much more better organized. Okay, if you're a right wing people, you don't have to think a lot because you have your ideologic. It's okay, and you can do what you want. You're really good organized. The police is not so bad to you, and so you have a better life. If you're a left person or an anarchist person, you are the enemy, like in the U.S. of the police, and all these a lot of Antifa groups here. They quarrel with each other because they're of that opinion and they are of that opinion. Everybody thinks they in Deutsch in German you say die Weisheit mit Löffeln gefressen. It's you're eating wisdom with a spoon.
Eating what with a stone with a spoon? Yeah,
Wisdom.
that's
You're eating the wisdom with a spoon.
what's wisdom?
Wisdom
Oh,
Weisheit your
wisdom. Right. Eating
yeah.
wisdom with a spoon.
So you say you're eating the wisdom with a spoon. So it means that you're one who thinks who knows everything. And so
Right.
the problem is that also anarchist groups in Germany. You've got two big unions. You've got the FAU. They are in the tradition of the CNT.
Yeah,
They are more,
syndicalist.
genau, they are syndicalists. They are more in that way. And then you've got the Federation of German-speaking anarchists, and they are more they're more concentrating on anarchy and not so much in the syndicalist thing. So these both confederations sometimes quarrel with each other. So
Yeah,
and
frequently, right? And then of
then
course
I
the
yeah
anti-Deutsch mix in that. I mean,
no no
where do
no
they fit in? Or
no no the anti-Deutsch I think they fit on they don't
they're
fit in
they're
that
not in the
scheme.
because they more come out of. I mean, the anti-Deutsch originally comes out of a communist group in Hamburg, right? Originally, but now I don't know if they what how you would describe their politics because they're so confused and confusing. I would say. I mean, I
Uh,
don't know. You know.
Anti-Deutsch, they are okay. They are always in favor of Israel.
And they're in the same scene. That's what I think is very. I don't know how many people in other countries understand this, but the
Now the
anti-Deutsch are in the same scene as the anti-IMS, the anti-capital. I mean, it's part of they're
no
part of that scene, right? You
no
see
no
them around.
no.
They're
They're
squats.
a big they. Okay, if you call the left a scene,
Okay, left. See, I mean, they'll go to the same.
then
You'll see them at the
then
same protests. If you're going to a protest
yes.
against, the
Yes, I
GHQ.
always also went to demonstration where somebody is going with the of the flag of this former Soviet Union, and I think I don't have
Yeah,
anything to do with that guy.
but
But
they'll go to the same protests too. So I see your point. Yeah,
and
but there are.
it's the old dogmatic communist people. They are not dying. They're always there. But I
Yeah.
think okay, it's an old guy. I don't care. So also we've got a guy here in Ludwigsburg who's who's running around with stickers from with Stalin.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a very good public relations move to try to like gain more people to join your movement if that's how you're recruited
The,
with
so so
Stalin
so
stickers.
so in Germany it's a problem uh, of unification because we made a lot of meetings with the aim to come together with the groups that they join together. So you've got one meeting, and then normally it's over because then there are
That's as
the
far as it goes.
anti-Deutsch that just want to go to demonstration that think okay Israel is good, and they are the ones who said Palestine is good, uh, and but that's not the big
Well, the
issue.
anti-Deutsch, they're more like into criticizing the rest of the left. Is more. I mean, that's really. I mean, you can say
Yes,
you can spin them in a positive light and say that they're trying to say something is good, but basically, what they're about mainly is tearing apart the rest of the left. Which I mean, there's a lot of left groups in different countries that seems like their main role is to tear other leftists apart. And whereas
yes,
other left groups want to build the left and want to build something, together, something new, better. But then it always seems to me that in many countries you can kind of divide the social movement, the sort of progressive or left movement, into those that are trying to divide everybody and those that are trying to unite everybody. And,
Yes, I also said you've got to differ between the dogmatic left and the undogmatic left. So the
okay, that's
dogmatic
right.
left, you have got the anti-Deutsch that as a group, and you have got the parties like the MLPD, the Marxist-Leninist party that are. They have got their working class heroes on their posters, and then you've got the left, the party. So some of them okay, but yeah, I think the now in Germany, it's in the politics. I think it's moving towards the U.S. The parties, the Green Party, the Social Democratic Party, and the Christian Democratic Party, they are coming together. They always have the same program. Then
Mm-hmm.
you've got the AfD on the right, and you have got the Die Linke on the left. But the Linke is more and more coming to take the position of the Green Party, and the Green Party is taking the position of CDU or SPD. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's more. There is no real alternative party in the Bundestag anymore. So I don't care as an anarchist, but I think it's more in the 80s. It was really here that you have got the Green Party was really coming from the alternative movement. So it was really something good. They really got into protest, and now they are a party just, oh, we want to be the government. That's their only aim, nothing else. So,
I mean, it would be interesting to see. Well, when the Green, if the Green Party gets such a, gets like a to be the dominant party in politics. But yeah, it just seems like the bigger they get, the more conservative they get. And thanks to everybody who is making comments about the volume. I keep on lowering Frank's and upping mine, and hopefully
okay.
we've got the right mix. But Amicus 28 or any Joseph DeCrow, if it sounds all right, let me know. But I know
Okay.
we're 17 minutes into it and we haven't gotten the volumes right, but hopefully it's okay.
But we are anarchists. We don't care
Yeah,
about the
well,
volume.
okay. Oh, is that right? No, we just want more, just more, just make it louder.
No, so I think also the big issue here is also you don't have that in the States is the GEZ. It's if you watch public television
Yeah.
that are not private, you have to pay. So,
Mm.
but these because they say really we make a better program, we make an educative program, and all that crap. So you pay for that, but they are allowed to do also advertisement until 8 p.m. So, and they have got from a son from friend of mine. They got in a. They have got here the Kika. It's a children's channel, and that is also public. So they made a show where the children, they are so about 10 or 11, they ask them, what are your hobbies, what are your favorite video game, what is your favorite music. So that's okay, but what they did is, if the children say that is my favorite music, they got the video there, they got the information there. So they made um, advertisement and a little bit of Marktforschung, you say, uh, getting the companies to know what the children like, and that's a program that is broadcasted in public television here in Germany, where you also pay for. And in the 80s, these television was really critical, and now it's like the private ones, and so that's for me a little bit big issue.
That
that you
is, I
don't.
mean, that same exact phenomenon has been really very easy to observe with BBC as well as with public radio and public television in the United States. They all used to be more progressive, and uh, a lot of people have noticed that, but I think a lot of other people don't really notice because the format doesn't change. So they sound intelligent because they speak intelligently, and they have a long, like in public radio, at least, most countries, I think they tend to have a long format kind of programming. So they'll get into the issues more thoroughly. And so the programs will last longer than they will on private television, and there's no advertising. And so there's more information, which tends to make people think the programming is more progressive because there's more information. But if you compare their attitude, their orientation now compared to 30 years ago, it's really I think in many ways they're becoming much more conservative.
I think the general problem is that the society since the past, it's a little bit like the Marxist historical yes, the historical theory. So that the society is changing from feudalism to capitalism to and so on. And I think then in the 80s and in the 70s we've got a lot of more uh, social background in the society.
Yeah.
And then I think when the unification starts here in Germany in the 90s, then it really goes much more back to neoliberalism and things like the what's the meaning Rente, retirement. If you're retired,
Mm.
well, you got money if you're retired.
Yeah, pension. Yeah.
Pension, yeah, the pension, and it was until I think end of the 90s it was public, and then this was good, and then they changed these pension system that you get something, but so less that you couldn't live with that if you have a low income. So you have to make a private thing, and that's also by in Germany with the train company Deutsche Bahn. Well, many greetings to Deutsche Bahn freaks. That's the only railway company. It's always getting more, but they are private now, but they also get support from the state. So they have no, there's no other concurrent, no other company.
Mm.
The problem is that they get more money. The people are on the top of the company, and the quality is getting worse. And so, the privatization, it's killing everything. I think it's the same in the US, and it's there also not. It's so much bigger than here in Germany, I think.
Yeah, much further along here with privatization and all that. Although, I mean, if the plans are going to go ahead with Biden's big infrastructure plan and $4 trillion to repair the bridges and railways and everything, then maybe we'll get some decent railway system out of that. Yeah, who knows? It's never happened. I mean, the last time we were like the U.S. had a competitive railway system was about 100 years ago. you know,
In the Wild West.
yeah, I mean, the U.S. was one of the first countries in the world to build a really extensive railway system, but then, it was not soon, very, just I guess 30 years later, the car was invented and, people went in that direction, the society and the government spending and everything went in the direction of, building highways and building roads instead of railways. And, of course, in Europe and other parts of the world, things went in much more intelligent directions in terms of mass transit. But it's part of that whole problem of a society dominated by big corporations.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
and
sorry for all those people mentioning the audio. I have no, I've
so
turned up, done all I can with the audio. I have no idea what's going on.
so I should I turn my volume a little
No,
bit lower?
I can
So
control your volume and mine from here, and I've turned
ah,
mine all the way up as much as possible, and I don't know what's going on. So
so
I have no idea.
you're the DJ master, you're the
Yeah,
MC,
I can. I
MC
mean, yeah, you
MC
can control
Rorix.
yours, and I can too, but it doesn't seem to be helping. I mean, it doesn't. It just seems like this microphone might not be picking up, and I'm just going through the computer's mic. I have no idea
So do
what's
you
going
have
on.
audio technic around
And
you?
I mean, in my earphones, everything sounds great, but that's obviously not what people are hearing out there.
But
So,
I'm now I'm working at the film academy. You know, it's a film school, a very famous film school here, and then we're always in that times we always do Zoom. So
hmm,
it's okay. I don't.
yeah.
I couldn't say Zoom because we are on the other one. But
Zoom. Yeah, but that's funny when you're in a film school and then you're working on Zoom. I mean, you guys are learning all kinds of technique for filming and everything, and then
no, no.
you're
Yeah. I'm just um a coordinator, study coordinator.
I see.
So for the students, I don't learn there anything, but
I see.
I do I'm a Mediengestalter, Bild und Ton. So we have got a broad education, everything around film, from sound and picture and cutting, and they are really on one subject. So there's the ones that are learning cutting, that are camera ones, that are the audio ones. It's really so I'm when I do movies, it's I do the whole process, and so you just gone what you're really specialized. But they have really good ones there. Some also got an NASCAR or so. But there in Zoom, it's like sometimes the audio is away or it's breaking down, so you never know. It's mystery, the
Yeah.
mystery of the technique. But I
And
also can hear you very good. So
it's strange. Who knows? But with OBS, you can see all the volumes. There's like a meter kind of thing. So
yeah,
I need to work on that, getting some kind of a meter thing. But I don't
yeah.
know. That maybe that's the solution. OBS. I don't know.
As OBS is good, I also do it with Zoom with four cameras, so
Ooh.
it's a good thing. It's
Oh yeah.
and then you can change the cameras on your iPad, so
Mm,
it's good.
mm.
So if you come if
You
in
can
the
teach
future
me
to
something.
Germany, I
Yeah.
make a good video from you with a
Oh,
drone and everything.
excellent.
Yes. So how is it with uh, the these restrictions concerning Corona? Is it a little bit lowered, or is it still very hard, very high the levels
Well,
concerning the
I mean,
pandemic?
here, in the U.S. anyway, I guess. I mean, there are the various other variants of the virus are still spreading
Okay.
fast, but the vaccination is happening very fast too. So I guess, I mean, at least among those who want to be vaccinated,
Hmm.
vaccine is available pretty much everywhere, I think. Uh, and then there's the question of how many people are not going to get vaccinated, and I guess those things are just unknown. But now they've said that vaccinated people don't need to wear a mask anymore, and so there's a lot of conversation seems to be going on in society, at least on the radio, about how people are supposed to react to the new directive about not wearing a mask. But I mean, also what's very clear is that as the vaccine is getting around in places like the U.S. and the U.K., in other places there's massive numbers of people dying without vaccine getting around, like in India
In
and places in
India,
South America.
but it's very horrible there in India.
Yeah.
And I think I hope that they make the license for the vaccine irgendwie free, so that all the poorer countries could produce the vaccines themselves. So
Well, they should have done that a while
should,
ago, and they should have
yeah.
also, they should be sending vaccine. They have lots of extra vaccine. Here, they have 5 times as much as they need. They should be
Yes,
sending it all to somewhere else. They have tens of millions of vaccine of AstraZeneca, which isn't even approved here, and it's approved
yeah.
in other countries. They should send it away,
So
somewhere else.
you have got too much vaccines, but you're not allowed to export it.
Yeah, we got too much vaccine, and I don't know if they're not allowed to, but they're not doing it.
Yeah,
I think because it's all because of it's about countries looking after their own populations, and
yeah.
they're about opening up the economy. They're not about saving lives and people in India.
So there's no light at the end of the tunnel concerning doing a live gig or some such thing in the
Oh,
US.
live gigs, I think, are going to be starting to happen. I mean, in the
Yeah.
US, I think things are going to start opening up like they are in other countries where the vaccine's spreading around, at least for vaccinated people. I mean, I don't know when it's going to be anything like it was. And of course, the way it was before was not really very good for live music for most of us, for a lot of different reasons, before the pandemic. But it I guess I've gotten a couple of emails about backyard gigs in California and one about a gig in New York City. So certainly not much, but it seems that some people are starting to think about organizing gigs again. But
Okay.
I think maybe last time we talked, I think I might have just gotten an email from somebody in London, which was like the only email I've gotten from anyone in Europe about thinking about doing a live gig in the fall.
But you're always welcome here in Ludwigsburg. We've got enough places. If you want to
I
come,
mean,
we could perform.
I guess first they have to they have to be have a policy for letting people in to the country, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot of
Or
obstacles.
you're digging a tunnel. You come
Yeah, I could
out
dig the
here.
tunnel. I could start digging. Yeah. Or
So
like in Ireland,
we
the first time I was there, I saw a bumper sticker about like building the tunnel from Ireland to the United States to solve the whole unemployment problem all at once.
yeah, it's great.
That'd be a long tunnel.
Okay. What? So I lost the Faden, you say in Germany.
You lost
I
the
lost.
plot.
I lost. Um, so tell us a little bit more. I don't know what was at the moment.
What else? What else is happening? I mean, there's at least I guess one thing that's going on is well, I mean, I don't know that they're talking about whether the sus- eviction moratorium will continue or not, and whether they're going to start evicting people who can't pay their rent. And this might start next month. I don't know, but so that's certainly a very interesting and possibly very exciting development in very bad ways here. I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of money going around to help people pay rent, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who owe a lot of rent from 2020. Uh, and soon the eviction moratorium will probably end, and then it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen. I don't know. Yeah, but that's one thing on the horizon here in the U.S. that is a very big unknown for the near future.
So I remember one question. You told me about the project that people were thrown out of their flats from the landlords because they couldn't pay the rent concerning to Corona, and you have got their initiative.
Hmm. Hmm.
What is there something new?
Yeah, that I mean that it continues. The developments continue with more people being evicted in different parts of the country, even with the eviction moratorium. But there will be many more people probably be getting evicted when the moratorium ends. And so I'm involved, as well as many others in many different cities, in trying to organize response to evictions when they start happening on a large scale, so that we can help hopefully um, change that kind of, the course of these kinds of events, and abolish evictions like happened in the 1930s in some parts of the country. Evictions were abolished, and they should be abolished. I mean, the whole question of the whole history of this country has been one of very wealthy landowners making big investments in more land, and then profiting from those investments by dividing the land up and selling it to people, and or just sitting on it until they can make lots more money later. I mean, the form of capitalism that the US has been run on for a very long time is real estate based capitalism. It's
Mm.
land, it's a settler expansion, colonial settler expansion, kind of land real estate capitalism, a certain kind of capitalism. And this, I think, is all coming to a head more and more with the housing crisis. And there's no amount of money that the government can possibly throw at the problem to fix it, because the landlords, and who are really big institutional investors, banks, investment companies, real estate investment companies, the Norwegian sovereign wealth fund, these kinds of huge, financial entities, they are investing in real estate in the United States, and also to some extent in England and other places, driving the prices up so much higher than ever before. And it's just, no matter how much money they try to give in rental assistance, it's not going to be enough. These prices are just too high. It'll just, no matter what they do, the landlords will just keep on raising the prices, and then it becomes impossible to pay. Even if they raise our wages more and more, minimum wage goes up to $15 an hour in the country, it won't be enough, because the rents will be too high by the time the wage goes up to that. So it's a real crisis that I think, I think it's probably the main you know economic crisis that this society is going to face in the near future. But a lot of other people, I don't know what if they think so, but to me it seems like that's where, if we're going to talk about the biggest contradictions in society, I think that are often not being talked about in the media, because the media is owned by the landlord class, and they don't want to talk about these things, more than they have to. I think this is really, it's a huge contradiction. And then it's also a huge contradiction just among the population, because there's so many people who benefit in a little bit from these class divisions, and from the
Mm.
real estate market. Whereas, like, for half the population who are renters, they're all just suffering. We're all just, totally suffering from this housing market. But for those who own, some of them are doing well, or doing okay, or maybe even benefiting from the prices going up and up all the time. And that's almost half of the population that benefits from the prices going up, where the other half is just, you know thrown out onto the streets because of the prices going up. So it's a society that's just completely divided, with totally different interests in that way. And I think it just doesn't get talked about like that enough. I mean, the other divisions in society get talked about a lot. Divisions related to, especially, race, and gender, and sexual orientation. These get talked about all the time. But the most fundamental division, I'd say, in this society, as much as other divisions are real and major, like race, the division between the classes of the renters and the owners, those who own houses and those who don't. I mean, that is just a tremendous division in this society. I mean, even when you don't think about the ultra rich, who are the biggest problem with why the real estate market is the way it is, and the capitalist system that really allows it to be a a market that you can invest in. I mean, we're talking about investing in the basic need of people to survive, and that's an
So
investment.
I support your opinion, and I think it sounds like normally working class guy. It's very hard to get a flat for his family that he could pay for, that he can afford.
Yep,
In Germany,
100%.
it's also a very big problem because of the real estate speculations, and so it's here. You've heard of Stuttgart, the train station problem. So it was not to get a better railway station. It was just to remove the railways, the rails,
Mm,
so get the train station underground, and then you have a lot of room for real estates. And
mm,
in Hamburg, there is a big group that uh, is in St. Pauli, in the I think the most well-known part of Hamburg, where the Reeperbahn and all that stuff is. And there, it's normally it's a district of Hamburg where the wages are very low. So with the big companies coming there, and all the agencies building big houses, a lot of people couldn't afford the rent there anymore, and they all get in that district, and there are groups a protest against it, and it's the same thing in the Schanzenviertel, where
mm-hmm.
the Rote Flora is,
Yep,
and
that's where I
the,
used to live in Hamburg when I was kind of hanging out
uh,
in Hamburg,
and
Schanzenviertel.
there it's a problem for all these hipsters, all these commercial agencies and these crap. They for them it's hip to get in the alternative districts because they are so these hipster guys, and all the people couldn't afford there, and so
Yeah,
that's I think the thing of capitalists is, if we don't confide them, we 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 buy their things. It's a little bit like here with the grunge scene and Kurt Cobain, where the media say, okay, then we promote it. You got a lot of money, so all your ideals go away. So
yeah, we'll turn
that's
it into
that's
profit.
yeah.
Yeah,
From also, it's also like here. There was a time here in Germany when it was very hip to wear left clothes, to wear Che Guevara shirts. Some people wear Che Guevara shirts. They don't
yep.
know who he is,
I know.
or
I
or they
always
wear
want to ask them, "Do you know who this guy is?" Like,
or
but
they were people
one
of
time I had I was with
yeah.
a friend who had a Mumia Abu Jamal button on, and there was this. We were actually we were in there's we were in Israel, and there was an Israeli soldier who wanted who loved the button, and we didn't know why, but like my friend was like, okay, explaining to him, because this is a political prisoner who's in prison for killing a cop, but you want the button, right? And like the guy, I think, wanted the button because Mumia has dreadlocks, and he thought it was Bob Marley, and but there might be some guy wearing around a Mumia button. I don't know if he ever figured out who the guy was, or if he still thinks he's Bob Marley or what. But yeah, that was. No, I can't
And
remember why. I just thought of that.
there are also a lot of people who are wearing Ramones shirts here, and also especially young kids. And I don't like the Ramones because for me it's not really punk. It's they're really conservative guys in their real life. So there are a lot of
But I love
also
the song. I wanna be
yeah.
sedated. That's a great song.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the other song I liked the best is here. I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery, but I think so. It's it's not yes, but it's always
That's profound.
it's or Motorhead, and they all wear Motorhead shirts, and I don't know, but I think you this is the mainstream always okay if you say to them wear anarchist shirts. I think it's hip today because we wear it. So, but okay, I don't care about
I
that.
think that the only people left in Portland who have Keep Portland Weird bumper stickers, which is it used to be a very popular bumper sticker. Keep Portland Weird. Actually, there's a lot of
Okay,
towns it became a thing, like to
yeah,
to say basically don't gentrify the place, keep it weird, which
mhm,
is of course the bumper stickers did not work, right? It didn't
yeah,
help. But now when you see those bumper stickers around, I think you can be pretty sure at least half the time they are people trying to sell a house. They are real estate brokers, and they have the Keep Portland Weird bumper stickers, to try to make themselves look a little bit punk rock, so they can, try to sell punk to the yuppies that are coming here from other towns, that they can't afford to live in anymore. Come buy your $500,000 house in Portland, and you can be weird and drink weird coffee, and listen to some, a little bit of, punk rock from the two punk rock bands that can still afford to live in the city.
okay,
It's surreal. It's
yeah.
totally surreal
It's
because
a
what they're
problem.
advertising is something that no longer exists. I mean, they're advertising a city that was this city 30 years ago. I
Yeah,
mean, there's lots of cool people in any city, including here, but it used to be a city that had actually, a real lot of artists and musicians and all kinds of stuff going on because it was cheap to live
yeah.
in. That's why it was a cool place, actually. I mean, that's actually the main reason. It's on the West Coast and it was cheap. That's it. I mean, you don't need any more than that, right? I mean, it's nice weather and it was cheap, but it's not cheap anymore, so it's not nice. It did, it stopped being nice for a lot of people. It's
So
not
so
nice when you have to
it's
struggle all the time.
so is it the thing that a lot of people are moving from the cities to the land,
Well, a lot of people are moving from the
the
really
country?
expensive cities to this
Yeah,
city. They're leaving Seattle and San Francisco and New York, and they're coming here. But then people are leaving here in
yeah,
Portland, and they're moving into the suburbs, the exurbs, out into the countryside. But they're not moving into the countryside because they actually want to live in the countryside. They're moving out there because and they're still working in the city, but they're
yeah,
moving out there because it's the only place they can afford to live. So now the commute gets further and further. The amount of pollution because of the
yeah,
commutes, gets worse with all the gas. Yeah, and then they're moving to places that are at risk of burning down in the next fire season. Because they move. The further you move into the countryside around here, the more your house is at risk of being burned down in a fire. You're safer in the cities where they have fire
yeah.
departments,
And
and that's the new reality.
and in the and on the land there are more the people are more conservative than in the cities, I think, in the US.
That's the
Yeah,
that's the
or not?
idea. I don't think it's really true, but that's the
No? Okay.
I mean, conservative in some ways. Like I
Yeah,
think you'll find in the countryside maybe people tend to be more socially conservative,
yeah,
and I think you'll see more Trump signs around, and but I think it's I mean, a lot of the farmers that in the Midwest and places that used to be radical in the 1930s, where there were a lot of socialist farmers, then later, now we they vote Republican, and we say they're conservative, but I
mhm,
think it's always a little more complicated than that
okay.
when you're really trying to figure out who these people are and what's driving them. I mean, I think I'm not saying that it's wrong to say they're conservative. I'm just saying that the red blue state divide is a very simplistic idea. I
Mhm,
think in reality here and around the world, the urban countryside divide is much more complex than than just like progressives live in the city and conservatives live in the countryside. I mean, the cities are sold as
yeah,
progressive, and the
okay.
countryside is sold as conservative by the real estate agents. because they want, because they're trying to sell a certain kind of ideal, and so the happy conservative suburban family wants to live in the suburbs, and so they sell the suburbs as
Okay.
conservative, and the progressive young person wants to live in the city, so they sell the city as liberal. But in reality, the cities are controlled by billionaires, and the countryside is too. I mean, the banks
So
own
it's a little
most
bit
of the country.
ethnopluralism, like the ones live there and the ones live there, and we don't get in contact, so we're divided more and more. So
Yeah, oh, I think so. I think there is. Yeah, I think that's very much the case, that these divisions exist, and that they're perpetuated by the way that we sell these different places, and talk about them. Yeah, definitely. And with this whole idea of red state, blue state, and the need to kind of come up with vocabulary to describe things, and then the journalists who often don't have much background or education about what they're talking about, so they're given talking points, and then we start learning. Oh, I'm in a blue state, and that
yeah.
means this and that. No, I'm in a red state. And really these words don't really mean much.
Okay, at the end of our conversation, I will just tell a little story because
Oh,
I
good.
worked as a sound assistant for the SWR. This is the public television broadcasting thing here in Baden-Württemberg. And they're really conservative. They say don't ask questions that are too critical. Always give the viewers the feeling of harmony. So I worked a lot of with young journalists, and I would just doing the boom thing, and there are young journalists that really study journalism, and um, they are not able to make a little film of 3 minutes, and they are not able to ask questions. You have got the questions where you just say yes or no, or you got the open questions. So there was a thing when we took an interview with an old guy, and she always wanted them to get on the emotional part. So, but he was a technical guy. So she asked about 20 minutes. What's your emotions and blah blah blah, and always like yes or no. And she doesn't realize that he doesn't want to talk that way. So I was standing there for 20 minutes holding this boom thing, and I said, "Hey, if she gets one more question, I hit this boom thing in her head." So I thought, and then at the end, I really was short a way to say, "Come on, you do the boom thing, and I ask the questions." So what I say is, in these public television, there are people that uh, don't know how to do an interview, but they learned it. So we haven't learned it, but we are more able to do these things, and that's a problem in Germany. It doesn't matter if you can do it, but you have to get the right exam.
Hmm.
That's my story for the end of our conversation. So it was
Yeah.
very nice talking to you, David. And
I
then
think
we
sometimes
see,
they don't
yeah,
want they don't necessarily want people who are really good at doing interviews
no,
working for them, because they don't want people who are going to ask too many of the wrong kinds of questions. They want young, and nothing wrong with being young, but they want people who are young and not very knowledgeable,
yeah,
who are good enough to do an interview and act professional, but not knowledgeable enough about the subject that they're going to become a
yeah,
problem for their bosses who do have a political agenda and don't want anyone with a good radical analysis
yeah,
working for them. I mean, I think it's more complicated than that, and it's not like they control things so simply and so easily. like
Yes.
that. But I think there's part of the reason why so many of the people they employ are 20 years old is
Yeah.
because they don't want to employ people who know too much. It's
Yeah.
not just because the 20-year-olds are willing to work for less money or more hours. It's also because they want people who are just out of college who are, more easy to control. I,
Yes.
I mean,
That's a
I may
problem.
be cynical, but and maybe that's not the case in Germany, but I think it's
No,
certainly the
no,
case here.
that's because I'm really happy to do my own stuff and to do these study coordination at the film academy. So I'm a little bit out of these weird broadcasting business. The most what I've also done is broadcasting at football. But this is if you got the Bundesliga and then you're there and you don't have to go there, don't have to go before the trainer. Then you make interviews with the players, and they are just allowed to say that and to say that. So I always say to the people, don't make interviews with sports guys and politicians. Then it would be better. But there, what they say, and it's always the same crap. But
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Because so if they have a radical working for the TV, then make them interview the sports people and do the weather
yeah.
and cover the opening at the mall. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, David. Then
Okay, Frank.
it
Great
was
talking to
very
you.
good talk today, and next time also with a brick wall, and perhaps you've got also the brick wall.
I'll maybe work on my background and my microphone settings. Sorry about all the technical issues out there.
Okay, next time it will be
Okay.
better. Okay, have a nice day. Bye,
You too,
David.
Frank.